What up, y'all? I got a clip for y'all. This is a Karen Reed Day 25 recap. Let's get into it.
She quickly began first aid while getting help from other hikers.
We need something to put on his head to help with the bleeding. And this guy rips off his shirt and throws it at me. So we put that on his head, and then several of us picked him up and moved him over to a dry area over on the rocks.
Meanwhile, a rescue team hiked down and coordinated a helicopter into the narrow canyon. Rescuers dropping down into a tight space before hoisting the conscious man to safety.
There had to have been angels or somebody helping him.
That day, a miraculous rescue, guided by a nurse and a group of guardian angels. Rahima Ellis, NBC News.
And our thanks to Rahima and KSL, our affiliate in Salt Lake City, for that incredible story. That's Nightly News for tonight, my first as the anchor of this great broadcast. My thanks to all of you as we start this new adventure together. Tonight, and always, we're here for you. Thank you for watching. I'm Tom Yamas. Have a great night. Former State Trooper Michael Proctor hasn't been called in the Karen Reed retrial, but text messages that ultimately cost him his job were front and center today. Plus the heated exchange between the defense and one of their own witnesses. That's all tonight at 7.
Today's kids are glued to their devices. They've traded FaceTime for FaceTime, and something's off. They're living in an online world that we parents can't see into. Aura gives us visibility into that online world and works like an early warning system to tell us if something seems, well, off. Finally, the tool we need. Learn more at aura.com.
You're watching NBC 10 Boston. News worthy of you. Tonight, serious claims about the defense brought to light during testimony from their own witness.
They said that they would charge me with perjury.
What else was said on the stand that's also under scrutiny?
Those wounds were inflicted as a result of a dog attack.
The dog bite expert from Reed's first trial returns to the stand.
Let's say these words out loud.
Michael Proctor's infamous texts read aloud, but not by the former state police investigator. We take a closer look with our panel of experts. Canton Confidential, the Karen Reed murder trial, starts right now.
In what could arguably be described as the most heated testimony of the defense's case so far, Kelly Dever, a former Canton police officer and now Boston police officer, took the stand. Good evening, I'm Glenn Jones. JC has the night off. She was working the morning of John O'Keefe's death when his body was found. She was pulled from the field to cover dispatch, but what she saw or didn't see on a security camera led to fireworks in the courtroom. Our Melody Mendez will bring us up to speed on today's memorable testimony. Mel, Officer Dever's testimony was just fascinating to watch.
It really was, Glenn. Here's the thing. We know that she was in the dispatch center, as you mentioned. That's essentially the hub for dispatch in a police department. There are phones, there are monitors, which show surveillance cameras and the video from different parts of the department. So Alan Jackson began with what seemed like pretty basic questioning about the monitors and what they would show. But immediately Devers pushed back and seemed resistant, said she couldn't recall, and things very quickly got heated. Take a look. Officer Kelly Dever immediately resisted to answering questions from the defense, often with long silences like this one.
I don't know why I'm here. I have no connection to this case.
At a few points, the judge stepping in.
I don't know what that means. So what do you mean you're going to go with yes? Is your answer yes?
You can't answer a question? You can tell by her body language she does not want to be there.
Yes, I have no relation to this case.
But as it turns out, she does. It emerged that Dever was interviewed in 2023 as part of the federal investigation into the case.
Did you tell those law enforcement agents on August 9th, 2023, that you saw Brian Higgins
true. Remember, the defense is alleging that Brian Higgins is one of the men who could have killed John O'Keefe, and they've claimed in the past the late Chief Berkowitz could have planted taillight evidence. But today, Dever testified that after speaking to those federal agents, she saw a timeline that didn't support her recollection.
It was not a memory it was a distorted memory. Therefore, I can't state it because at this point it would be a lie. Like, you can't remember my name. I don't remember.
Today, Dever claims the defense tried to get her to lie on the stand.
They were looking for me to say that I saw Higgins and Berkowitz in the garage with the car.
Did you share with them that wasn't an accurate memory?
Okay.
Yes.
How did they respond?
They became very aggressive, raised their voices, and the one word that I can very definitely remember is they said that they would charge me with perjury.
A claim Jackson refuted.
Did you also say on that phone call, I know you're going to tear me a new one because I'm changing my testimony?
Changing, no. But you're trying to do that.
Alan Jackson pressed her about being called into the Boston Police Commissioner's office about this case, following it up with this question.
Have you ever heard of something called the blue wall of silence? Objection.
Sustained.
Do you think it's important for police officers to protect one another? In the field and out? Objection. Sustained.
Karen Reed speaking to that outside of court.
Are you suggesting that Dever may have been coaxed into changing her testimony?
Yes.
What's your reaction to her demeanor?
I didn't suggest it. She did. When she was called into the commissioner's office, the story completely changed. We subpoenaed her to testify to what she told other authorities and just wanted her to be as honest with us as she was with them.
Honesty, what the defense says they're looking for, and what Dever says she's giving.
My entire job revolves around what I say on the stand right now. If I was to lie, I lose my job. I lose everything.
If you agree with what you said in August of 2023 on this witness stand, you would be implicating two officers, fellow officers, as having been in the Sally Port weirdly for a wildly long time with the SUV, implicating not one, but two fellow officers, correct?
If I was to lie, then yes.
All right, testimony resumes tomorrow at 9 a.m. here in Dedham. Glenn, back to you.
Melody Mendez at the courthouse. Thank you. Today's testimony from Officer Dever was compelling in so many ways, and joining us to talk about it now is retired state police trooper turned security expert Todd McGee. Todd, I'm so grateful you were available on short notice because this dramatic clash between Dever, a defense witness, and defense attorney Alan Jackson really caught everyone's attention today. Should we expect that all police officers receive some kind of training for testifying at trial? And did it surprise you to hear that as a rookie cop ahead of testimony, she got time with the police commissioner, Michael Cox?
Well, good evening, Glenn. Thanks for having me. Yes, police officers do go through courtroom procedure training and the understanding of how to conduct yourself in a court of law and all of those sorts of things, as you might understand. What was interesting about her testimony today, she was obviously nervous about this perjury issue that came up in the prior testimony and an interview with the federal agents. So, then what came up in the trial regarding the interview with Superintendent Cox was where the defense really tried to pinpoint where her testimony may have changed. So interesting to see the dynamics in the courtroom, very heated exchange at times. But again, this is, not unlike we've seen from other witnesses.
When Officer Dever said her livelihood is dependent on her testimony, some interpret that as picking no sides and siding only with the truth, but others see it as code for the blue wall of silence. How did you hear it when she said that?
I saw that as her trying to actually protect herself in that response. So, an average police officer is going to say that, yes, we should protect other police officers in the field. That's what we do. That's why we call backup. Now, the context is in the form of the blue wall of silence. So, in that challenge, she paused, hesitated, and thought well and deep about what her response was going to be.
Yeah, so the question now is whether or not that's seen as credible by the jury. Todd McGee, thank you so much. It's always great to have you.
Thank you, Glenn.
you've never talked to me. Nobody on the fence seems to talk to me since prior to the first trial. So I don't have any idea why I'm
This
here.
woman's body language
Let's continue our
is
discussion on
giving she
Dever's
does not
testimony
want
for a
to
moment
be
longer
there.
with two of our legal analysts. Tonight, our panel includes former prosecutor Mark.
Her body language to me gives that of a woman who is forced to testify. Now, I don't know about y'all, but that's what it gives me.
McLean and retired Massachusetts Judge Jack Lew. So, Margaret, I'm going to begin with you. What's the net here on the testimony from Dever? Is she a cop who got bullied by Jackson, or another
That's what it's
police officer
looking
whose
like.
integrity the jury is now going to question?
Well, first of all, if I'm the defense, I would not have called Dever, because remember, jurors have been listening to this case for 25 long days, and ultimately they're going to be thinking, what was the point of all of this testimony? Because we know that she actually really didn't see Berkowitz and Higgins in the area in the Sally Port when the Lexus was there. So they're going to think, what's the point? And I think it was very
What's the
risky
point?
for Jackson, because he came across as a jerk. But of course, on the flip side, I also think that Dever came across as a jerk.
Oh, two jerks.
I think there were two jerks going back and forth. However, I do believe that Hank Brennan did a very nice job on cross-examination, yet again.
Okay, let's get into this a little bit more. In the pursuit of justice, obviously, we want all witnesses to arrive at the truth. So is that what happened here, or was it something else? Here's Officer Devers explaining her changing story.
The defense released a timeline right prior to the first trial that the vehicle on that day did not arrive in the Sally Port until about an hour and a half after I left, meaning it is not possible that I saw that.
You now indicated that what you told to law enforcement agents in August of 2023 was a lie.
No,
You agreed with that statement here on the witness stand.
it's not possible I
If
saw
you
that.
agreed with action.
All right, Judge Lew, let me try this one out on you. Let's say that Officer Devers arrived ultimately at the truth. How do we explain or reconcile this thing that, according to her own testimony, she must have imagined? There's no way, she says, it could have happened.
Yeah, I think she's really hurtful for the defense, and just as a society, I hope that the Karen Reed folks can start to... A criminal jury is totally unpredictable, right?
Yes.
Disclosure. Unpredictable, but it looks like the Karen Reed ship and her... well, I won't associate them with her yet, but the bands or organization of witness intimidators in Southeast Massachusetts and perhaps elsewhere in the English-speaking world, weirdly, they're all going to go down with the ship, it looks like so far. But the first piece of evidence is usually the best they have.
Do you allow yourself the possibility to think that some of these jurors might really be questioning this witness's integrity as opposed to the bullying that's been described here on this panel by Alan Jackson?
It's entirely possible. Look at the split in our society. Look at the split. But that's a witness. Ms. Dever is right out of central casting.
Okay, let's get to this viewer question, Margaret, because I think this one will be very interesting. Tyler wants to know, if a defense witness is evasive, combative, and refusing to answer questions from the defense directly, at what point can the judge declare the witness as hostile? And with that being said, does Kelly Dever fit the bill of a hostile witness?
I think she did fit the bill of a hostile witness, but I don't think that Jackson needed to ask the judge to make her a hostile witness, because he was getting, he did quite a good job himself getting out what he wanted to with Dever. But I don't think that he
Pretty
needed
much.
to ask for her to be specifically declared hostile in this case. I will have to say that this witness, I thought she was a little bit problematic for the prosecution, though, because, you think what did strike me is that the blue line.
The wall of silence.
The wall of silence. So maybe it's a younger jury, as we know, so maybe some of the jurors will think, are we dealing with some sort of police conspiracy here? And they will be talking about it in jury deliberations.
Okay. After Dever finished her testimony, a familiar face from the first trial returned to the witness stand.
I don't know of another doctor in the whole United States that did 2 residencies, one in emergency medicine and one in forensic pathology, and has a lifelong interest in dog bites. These multiple groupings are patterns, and my opinion, were
Those like dog bites to me.
and claws of a dog.
Yep, that's what they look
That was
like.
Dr. Marie Russell describing her qualifications and John O'Keefe's injuries. For those of you who are just joining us for this trial, Dr. Russell was an important witness from round 1. She was a late edition witness, and it turns out she saw the case in a web article and reached out to offer her insights. We're joined now by our courtroom insider, Sue O'Connell, who was in the gallery for part of the testimony today. So how was the jury responding to this defense expert witness?
So the jurors that I can read, because as I keep telling you, they're very stoic, they're all taking a lot of notes, but there are a couple of younger women jurors who are responding quite visibly favorably to Dr. Russell, to the point where I've been referring to one as calling her her grandmother, because she's really leaning in and hearing about her story and shaking her head. And I think Hank Brennan has his work cut out for him here, because he has to discredit her. This is an important part, has to discredit it somehow. But every time he says something to her, they make faces at him. There's a couple who are just furrowing their brows, like, why are you being so hard on this woman? Which I'm told, I wasn't in the courtroom for the morning's testimony, that Jackson did not get from the jurors when he was being harder on some of the witnesses. So I think she's making a favorable impact. I don't know where he goes with this. He's not attacking her credentials.
Right.
We all know there's no such thing as a dog expert, so you can't get a training in it. You can't read, you can't write a book on it, although I imagine she will after this. Nothing wrong with adding it to your resume when you're an expert witness, if that's what you want to do. So I think what he's going to try and do is pick apart her testimony in the hearings and in the last trial and show inconsistencies. The last inconsistency he had was that it matched the corners. So I'm wondering where he's going to go with this.
Okay, the three of you stay right there, because we have to get into Michael Proctor as well, because that loomed to be a large figure in this case, even though he didn't actually appear. That's coming up next. Cringeworthy and vulgar text messages about Karen Reed read aloud in court. They were sent by Michael Proctor, but the disgraced state trooper has been noticeably absent from this trial. Could he be called to testify? Stick around, we'll take that up in just a few moments. You're watching Canyon Confidential, the Karen Reed murder trial.
Wake up refreshed after a great night's sleep on a new mattress from Birdie and Phil's. Save up to $800 on premium sleep systems, plus receive up to a $300 furniture reward. We'll even deliver, set up, and remove your old mattress for free. A new Sealy Posturepedic Plus Hybrid combining premium inner springs with memory foam may be the perfect mattress for you. Or try a Stearns & Foster mattress with the world's finest inner spring for all-night support. If you love your sleep, you'll find the perfect mattress during Birdie and Phil's Memorial Day event. That's nice.
An accused rapist, murderer, and child pornographer. All illegal aliens caught because of President Trump's leadership. I'm Christine Ohm, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. Over 100,000 illegal aliens have been arrested. And if you're here illegally, you will be fined nearly $1,000 a day, imprisoned, and deported. But if you register using our CBP Home app and you leave now, you could come back. Under President Trump, America will be protected.
Change is always happening. It's part of life. Here at Xfinity, we want to do our part to keep one thing the same, with a 5-year price guarantee on our internet. So no matter how your other costs change, you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi, with our best equipment included, for a price that stays exactly the same.
Community is about going the extra mile.
Ah, dang it. I did not mean to do that. 1 second, y'all. Here we are.
More than what's expected. And at National Grid, we think doing more is important. That's why we offer energy efficiency programs and rebates for your home to help you use less and save more. And a variety of services and solutions to make managing your bill easier. Because when it comes to utilities, affordability is just as important as reliability. We're here for your home. Everyone likes a party. especially this one.
Are you having any?
Because all of these people received life-changing treatments at South Coast Health. And, like Curtis, whose medical team performed an angioplasty in minutes to open a full blockage of his heart's biggest artery, today they have good reason to celebrate. Award-winning, nationally recognized heart and vascular care. We are South Coast Health.
She's a whack job.
What's next, Sean?
So don't spell it. You have to. So these are your words, Trooper Proctor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead and say them.
Yes, she's a babe. Weird Fall River accent, though. No.
She's a whack job, and then uses the C word to describe it. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
He then says, yeah, she's a babe. Weird Fall River accent, though. No.
Dude, you sound like a straight douchebag.
The tale of two trials. In the first trial, lead investigator Michael Proctor himself read derogatory texts he sent about Karen Reed. But for the retrial today, Special Prosecutor Hank Brennan read the texts and had them confirmed by a Proctor friend on that text chain who was a defense witness. We're back with our panel now, Jack, Margaret, and Sue. So Hank Brennan's reading of Proctor's text messages brings us to a viewer question tonight. Lyndon Arvin asks, why didn't David Yannetti read the text messages from Proctor this morning as opposed to Brennan? Don't you think it would have been more impactful? Judge, let me come to you on this because I suppose there are many ways to get those text messages into evidence. The way they came into evidence this time is so different than the last time. Could David Yannetti just have read them? Couldn't they have also called Michael Proctor to read them?
Yeah, well, they could have called Michael Proctor if they wanted to blast their case to smithereens or risk that. So if they call Michael Proctor, you know they think they have lost the case because it's 80% likely to just explode and kill them. But as to with the benefit of hindsight, who knew Brennan was going to pull them out and start bandying them about? But that's the rough world of being a trial lawyer, especially the most unnerving of all, criminal defense lawyer.
Let's challenge something slightly that the judge just said. When we talked to Ronald last week, he said on a scale of 1 to 5, the shock value of the Proctor text messages for him was a 6. And he said the same is so when it came to the relevance of deliberating on those text messages. So given that, did the defense miss an opportunity here, or do you think they've handled the text messages in the right way?
Without understanding why they wouldn't want to call Proctor. I don't know that they had a lot of roots here, and I'm not sure they're done with them. I'll defer to both of you, but I think the Yannetti can introduce them kind of like Brennan introduces the clips. So maybe Yannetti will say them later, or Jackson will yell it out in courtroom, which we heard was very effective. People were deeply offended by them. Plus, they've already been offended by stuff that Proctor's, the R word, has really been landing with a number of them. So, without embarrassing this poor guy who was just an innocent bystander, total collateral damage, I think it was the right route to go, and I think that there's a reason maybe Yannetti, I know there was a reason, I don't know what it is, didn't ask him to read them and left it for Hank Brennan to have to do it. So there's something going on here. No, it didn't have the impact that it did the first time, but I think it's still going to have an impact.
So Margaret, are we in some ways burdened by what happened the first time? Because although we all saw it and know the shock value, perhaps this jury does not even know what it's missing.
That's true. And I was thinking of that because, yeah, when I heard that last year for the first time, I was just, stunned.
Absolutely.
Oh, my God. And I don't feel stunned by it, but then on the flip side, I've heard it so many times now, so I know what's coming. We all do. I wonder what the jury will be thinking. I disagree with you, Sue. I think that by Brennan questioning, it took away some of the steam from the defense. I do. I think that was a mistake. But
all right. Judge, why do you think calling Proctor by the defense means the case explodes on them?
Because he will have multiple, it's like a multi-pronged thing, and he can destroy them by showing that he is, allegedly, I got no idea, that he is a nice guy, that the 100% reason he wanted.
What?
I'm sorry.
What is wrong with this guy?
It's they can.
I'm going to do what one of the jurors do right now.
That I'm pursuing a murderer, and I made terrible errors of judgment, a whole bunch of them, and I apologize deeply for that. But this is a cold-blooded murderer.
All right, well, she's an accused murderer. We should, of course, make that clear.
That's what he's going to say. It is called.
Okay, all right, and I can hear the dings of the emails in the inbox right now in the newsroom. Judge Lou, thank you very much for your commentary. Margaret McLean and Sue O'Connell, thank you as well. If you have questions for our panel in this case, keep sending them our way. The email address is on your screen, canton.confidential@nbcuni.com. We'll answer as many questions as we can. And also be sure to tell us where you're emailing from. And remember to join us every weeknight at 7 on NBC 10 Boston. We'll have a full recap of the latest developments from court, as well as legal analysis. You can watch us live on YouTube as well. Plus, this week's episodes will be streaming on Peacock. A new batch of episodes is released every Sunday. And be sure to check out our true crime podcasts about the case.
Okay, I
It's the
think we're
audio
done.
version of our nightly show.
All right,
That will
1
catch you up
second.
on all the twists and turns up until this point. You're watching Canton Confidential, the Karen Reed murder trial.